Okay, welcome to the town board meeting for Thursday, January 21st, 2021. Roll, please.
Supervisor Perotti,
Here.
Council members Doyle,
Here.
Gutierrez,
Here.
Morris,
Here.
Samoji.
She'll be late.
Thank you. 7:03.
And Jim, I think we're having a presentation by the wastewater committee. Jim Wright, if you'd like to start.
I'm here.
Yes, and Aaron is also on. So
we should just launch in.
yeah, she needs to come off mute.
Hi, Vicki. I was going to stay muted while Jim gave some introduction.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'd like to thank you, Supervisor Perotti, and the town board members for inviting the wastewater committee to make tonight's presentation. For the record, my name is Jim Wright, chairman of the wastewater committee and a resident of Amenia for 37 years. I would also like to introduce Aaron Moore, professional engineer at Ty & Bond. And I'd like to thank my fellow committee members, Stacy Mantle, Leo Blackman, Brad Rebellard, Nathan Roy, and John Stewart, who are all watching eagerly. So anywho, leaders and citizens of Amenia have recognized for decades that the town will not thrive without a wastewater treatment system. The 2007 Comprehensive Plan and the 2008 Hamlet Development Study both stated that without a wastewater treatment system, business and housing development would be very difficult to achieve. There are many reasons why the town is still without a system, but we're not here to discuss them. Instead, it is the committee's goal to lay out how Amenia would benefit from a sewer system and to encourage the town board to begin exploring options for installing one. We've been educating ourselves for months about wastewater treatment systems. We've spoken to leaders of neighboring towns, with engineers, and with officials at the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority. Here's what James A. Upright, who is a professional engineer and professional geologist and the senior public health engineer with the Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health, what he had to say. Quote, "This department supports the design and construction of a central sewer system for the hamlet to protect public health and to enhance economic opportunities in the hamlet. Based on the projects that I have reviewed for the hamlet of Amenia, most septic systems in the hamlet are old and substandard, and there's no way for most of them to meet current standards. The parcels in the hamlet are limited in what businesses can do to open and or expand due to a combination of some or all of the following complaints. One, most of the lots are too small to accommodate approved septic systems, especially for restaurants. He noted that the library barely had space for a new septic for their expansion. Most of the lots along 343 and Mechanic Street abut.
Excuse me, Jim. I think we have some background noise here. Please mute so that Jim can finish his presentation. Go ahead, Jim.
So I was saying that most of the lots along 343 and Mechanic Street abut or are located wholly or partially in a New York State Department of Environmental Conservation wetland, which further limits possible septic locations. Additionally, the groundwater at these lots is close to the surface, which requires something called a fill pad to obtain separation distance. He actually pointed out that Monty's had to install one of these fill pads, which are very expensive. And Aaron asked me to explain what a fill pad is. It's a large quantity of special soil that's trucked in and placed carefully by an excavator to surround the tank. And then that is also surrounded by a retaining wall. Also, the lots just cited along 343 and Mechanic Street and many adjacent lots are located in a 100-year floodplain, which again limits placement of new systems. Cumberland Farms has a septic system that has been failing for over 2 years. However, due to the floodplain and shallow groundwater, there's no acceptable location for a new septic. He goes on to say that most of these parcels surround a lake and wetland that are part of the watershed for 2 of the hamlet's 4 water supply wells. And several years ago, the hamlet had to abandon 2 additional wells in this area due to groundwater contamination from nearby septic systems. So he concludes by saying, this department firmly believes that a municipal sewer system for the hamlet is and has been needed for some time, and will support efforts to establish a system. Yesterday morning, I had a long conversation with Darren Hinault. He's the owner of the new houseware store in Amenia, Tent. He's renting his space from John Stephanopoulos. And I was sort of astounded that he confirmed everything that Mr. Upright wrote to me. The interesting thing that somehow never occurred to me is that he pointed out that Amenia should take advantage of its location. He said 20,000 cars. I don't know about that, but there's no doubting, there's no dispute that many, many more cars travel through the intersection of 22 and 343-44 than is the case in either Millerton or Millbrook. He recently urged friends who are ready to open a shop in Millbrook to check out Amenia. They did, and reported back that the septic systems of a number of the available properties are too compromised to justify investing in the renovation of a store. And we're just talking stores, we're not talking restaurants here. But in the case of Monty's, which as you all know is for sale, because the previous owners invested in this expensive septic system, the property is crazy expensive, and none of these people who are ready to open a business in Amenia could justify spending that kind of money on a store that would never generate enough to meet the expense of that purchase. Supervisor Parati has also underlined to the committee the urgent need to rehabilitate and build housing in the town. The pandemic has made an existing housing shortage much, much worse. And housing in the hamlet can only be expanded if a sewer system is introduced. Amenia need only look to Hillsdale for inspiration. 10 years ago, that community basically was forced to build a system because of the failures of the individual septic tanks. And the wastewater treatment system there has transformed the town. It's, according to Darlene Reamer, it's booming. Many new businesses have opened and both single and multifamily units have been constructed. The last attempt to do a feasibility study in Amenia was in 2012. And one of the engineers who worked on that study was none other than Erin Moore. Last February, Erin presented her company's plan, Ty and Bond's plan, to build a wastewater treatment system in Millerton. And after that meeting, Leo and I spoke to leaders in both Millerton and Pine Plains about their working relationship with Erin and her firm, Ty and Bond. And they had nothing but extremely positive things to say about their experience. We would like Erin to build on Amenia's 2012 plan. Having worked on it, she's familiar with the geography, the topography, and the unique challenges that face us here in Amenia. Ty and Bond has submitted to the town board a proposal for launching an updated feasibility study, and I now invite Erin to describe that proposal. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jim. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. My name's Erin Moore. I'm a senior project manager with Ty and Bond. We're an engineering firm of about 450 centered in the Northeast. I manage our New York facilities located in Rhinebeck. I've been involved with small community wastewater for over 20 years, so thanks so much for having me tonight. I've got to say, usually I'm concerned. I want to make sure I can answer everyone's technical questions, but the early conversation got me really concerned with how wild my hair is. So no hair comments, please. It's been a long day. So I plan to share my screen, hopefully. Let's see if that goes well. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Do we think we could enable it?
That means you, Victoria.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at share screen. It says one participant can share at a time. But what else should I be hitting?
It's a menu item to, in your settings, it's a default that participant screen sharing is prohibited, and you have to uncheck a box.
Okay.
And if we can't make that happen, I'll just
No,
talk
that's
through.
okay. I'm going in settings now. Oh, under screen share screen. Okay, which one should I take? Because there's automatically share desktop, show all sharing options, share applications, share individual windows, share all windows from an application.
That's, I think, if you're sharing, you're trying to set as the host that other people can share. I'm trying to think of where this is in the menu.
Because I'm at share screen.
Yeah, maybe
Share all windows.
Victoria, are you in the settings menu?
Yes, I am.
That you access from the top right?
Yes, I'm there. I'm under share screen. Because there's enable the remote control of all applications, side-by-side mode, silent system notification. Share individual, share all windows from an application. It says when I share my screen in a meeting, automatically share desktop, show all sharing options.
I wonder if it's under show all sharing options, because it's enable participant screen sharing. That's what you're looking for.
At the bottom there, in the middle of the little things between chat and record, is share screen on my window.
Yeah.
I have that.
Yeah, if you hit that, though, Jim, it will say you're not allowed to, and that's what the host needs to give all
Okay.
participants permission to share.
I got it.
But I'm not seeing where it says you're not allowed to under settings. It says screen share or share screen. Let's see, video.
All right, I think probably then it's best. Yeah, one of those things that it's probably best to figure out beforehand. Sorry about that. I should have probably
think
reached out ahead of
found
time.
it here, Victoria.
What?
With the website here. If you click on the share button at the bottom, not the settings menu at the top right, do you see?
I'm in settings under share screen.
Yeah, but if you click at the bottom, if you click share screen, there should for you pop up an advanced sharing options.
Yeah, I'm in that. It says limit your screen share to 10 frames, show green border, use TCP connection for screen sharing, annotations on a shared screen or whiteboard. So maybe it's this connection for screen sharing. There's nothing here that says limit participant.
Aaron, is it a simple presentation that you can just forward to her so she can share from her screen?
Absolutely. Let me do that right now.
As if there is something about participant sharing, I could do that.
Dawn, she doesn't have video though.
Oh.
Yeah, so let's just talk through this, and I'll send out some images to go with what I'd like to present to you today. No problem. We'll figure this out. I know I've just taken up a bunch of time, so sorry about that. I'm just going to step through this process in regard to what Jim's talking about and mentioned with updating the engineering study. So right now, the town has an opportunity to apply for grant funding. This grant funding will permit creation of an updated wastewater evaluation. So I want to go through the steps to the evaluation, but point out where that evaluation leads us is to qualify for more grant funding. So it's really important to prepare a document that lets us continue that process. So if there's a path to be followed, there continues to be funding and finances available to support that process. So the first step of the evaluation is going to be revisiting sewer district delineation. At the time, in 2012, the town wastewater committee had worked with Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority. They had come up with a very specific district, and definitely the needs of the town have changed. Looking at what's the right area to be concentrated on, there are things to be aware of: really small parcels, high groundwater, flood zones. But we also really want to work with the town to get specific feedback on wastewater needs, both from residences and from businesses, and also understand the previous work the town's done, including the Hamlet Development Plan. Because I think that's got some good guidance for us to look at. So the second step is, once we understand the area to be focused on, flows will be developed using water meter data, or estimates when a parcel is not being used. So either what could that parcel be, or maybe what it's been in the past, and we can access some historical water use data to be able to develop flows. And so the third step, and that's the most challenging one, is where could a community treatment system be sited? It's really important to understand from an engineering perspective, our main concerns are finding a site that's on town property or easily acquired, out of the 100-year flood zone that in Amenia is a big concern, sufficient space to site something but close to the service area. However, I think it's really important to understand is these treatment facilities may not be what you picture when you think of wastewater treatment. I'd love to show you some examples of these facilities, and now you're just going to have to use your imagination. But as you drive up Route 22, Hillsdale is a facility I will email and send you images of, but it is a facility in a field. There's a little shed, and there's a fence, not a chain link fence, like a farm fence around it, but the vast majority of the system is subsurface.
You should be able to share now, Erin.
Oh, great.
It wasn't in settings. It was in
Where was
another
it?
place.
Of course.
I just kept looking till I found it.
Vicki, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Perfect timing, though. So here's some slides to go through what we've been saying, but this is where we are. So this is right off of Route 22, kind of behind Stewart's in Hillsdale. So this is the entire Hillsdale treatment facility. It uses subsurface, these green plastic lids or subsurface containers, and some fencing. It has subsurface disposal. It doesn't go to a water body, and the control shed and generator. But that's the whole system right there. Using the same technology, this is a system in Hyde Park. Unfortunately, it's just after it was constructed, so the grass isn't in yet. It would look, I think, a bit better with grass instead of hay. But if you look down in this lower right area, it's immediately adjacent to a very tight residential community, just feet away from houses. And it certainly is not in any way a nuisance to the community. And again, this is a stream discharge, so this is going to a surface water, and again, using the same technology that I just showed in Hillsdale. And this is yet another different treatment system that Ty and Bond designed. This is a system called an MBR, which happens to be also the same treatment system, type of treatment system that is used, in many places throughout the county, but also Silo Ridge. So in this case, it's been placed in a building, so we can see how the building really blends into the surrounding community, and doesn't stand out in any way as a place of wastewater treatment. So there is really effective methods we can use to make sure that this is an asset to the community, either from an open space perspective or from an aesthetic perspective, and really it can be an asset versus any type of hindrance to development or to just the overall community feel and appearance. And so these are the type of treatment systems that are going to be considered. But obviously there's tremendous amount of community collaboration. So a system will be recommended based on the cost of doing that, a user cost developed, and all of that put together into a grant format that is suitable to pursue additional grant funding. And then the goal would be to come back to a meeting like this, but hopefully in person, because that would be better. But we'll make it happen no matter what, and present findings, and then start working with the town together. When I say the town in that case, I mean all of the town, to determine what is the right path forward, what will meet the needs for business development, for housing, for environmental protection. And so it's a very succinct process. There's great groundwork that was laid previously, but there's been a lot of changes. So I think that from my understanding, the town really is in a good place to start initiating this type of study. And again, there is a grant for this type of study also available right now that it would be great to pursue. So that's my quick step through of the process, but I'd love to answer any questions about what was done in the past or what would happen with this study. And
I
then,
have a question. I'm not sure if I missed it or not, but in the criteria for where the facility, an optimal facility site would be, town property that's easily acquired, or something easily acquired out of flood zone, close to service area, and close to stream, I'd say. Is it true, or maybe I'm mistaken, that if you had access to a stream and was able to get a speedies permit, that would shrink the amount of footprint, physical building and all the high maintenance, or am I misrepresenting that?
no, that last one, I'm not sure that is necessarily part and parcel of the location. There are greater O&M costs, operation and maintenance costs, with a stream discharge. However, with the familiarity that I have, I think that sincerely is what you are looking for.
Okay.
So being close to the stream is good. However, being out of the 100-year floodplain is better. And if that means that you have to pipe a little bit to get to the stream, then that's okay. So sufficient space that is accessible, preferably town-owned or easily acquirable. You don't have a lot of distance to go from the center to get to a water body. We obviously do want a flowing water body, not an impounded water body. That's ideal. But there's some good options in town.
Are they for sale?
We'll find out. Good. There's water bodies in town, as you know, good water bodies.
Aaron, I have a quick question. So task 1 here is the sewer district delineation. I'm sure you're familiar with the various studies and we've had a number of feasibility studies done over the years. 95, 2009, 2012 was referenced already. Some of the earlier studies looked at a wastewater facility that could accommodate both of our hamlets with business districts. And I'm wondering if some sites were identified as feasible in with that perspective. I'm wondering if you have a sense of the cost benefit of making a really significant investment, which is what it would take to build a wastewater facility. I'm wondering if you have some idea of if we're going to spend, say, $1 million, does it make sense to spend incrementally more to expand the service area and accommodate both business districts, or does current technology lend itself more towards smaller, more localized treatment facilities, potentially multiple facility sites?
It is real. You're asking the right question, but it hasn't. From previous work, I don't think that I have the right information to answer you. So the last time this was looked at, and I think this really is the right time for a fresh look at it. Funding perspectives have changed. So in previous studies, finding the ideal balance between quantity of residential and business was a high priority. And the reason that is because up until recently, rural development funds had a unwritten rule, let's say, that they weren't going to provide any funding for wastewater improvements that didn't at least serve 51% residential, and then that 51% residential was a certain percentage below the median household income. That perspective has really changed in the last few years and is far more open to systems that are certainly serving residential purposes as well, but that strict number of you have to attempt to get 51% of residential parcels. It also didn't do a great job of acknowledging multi-use structures, such as when you have the business on the first floor and residential above. It didn't work great from a rural development funding perspective. So we really it's a good time to do a fresh perspective and not try to force a percentage that may not be appropriate for this approach.
May I add something? Aaron, one of the things that impressed me about your presentation in Millerton in February was the phased approach, starting in the business district of Millerton, but building a system that could handle expansion. Am I getting that correct, please?
Absolutely. And that's Millerton is a great example of different how two different communities, very similar. I'll talk about. I'm in the middle of a study of both of them, but Pine Plains and Millerton, they're very close by. They have completely different priorities, and I think that again, that's why you look at things differently. Millerton has sewer septic problems throughout their village, and the village leadership there feels very strongly. The residents feel very strongly. We're not going to just serve one area, and then because this neighborhood far away from that area is struggling, we're not going to serve them. So it was very important to that village that they're serving the entire village, but in a phased approach. So you have a cost-effective start, you have an affordable start, you can do a smaller area, and then understand how you can expand the system with phasing. And so that might be the best approach to talking about two hamlets. Conversely, Pine Plains is very focused on their business district and has, we've received comments from residents. They don't want to see any other of that town served other than their business hamlet. So.
Yeah, Sharon Kroger is not here to remind us all that Amenia has 2 business districts, and we should do our best to keep that in mind, but I'll do that on her behalf. The other thing that I think is really interesting about this opportunity is that, Amenia has a municipal drinking water system already. There is a water district for many of the residents and businesses in Amenia. Whereas in Wassaic, there is no such water district. So, the need is arguably greater for those who are not served by the water district because they have certain, siting requirements, well to septic field and the such. So I think, Aaron, it might be worth familiarizing yourself with some of the prior studies that looked at a shared hamlet system, but I think ideally, if this is going to be, if there's going to be a large expense associated with this, and we all know that these are not cheap things to build, it might make sense to spread out the benefit over the maximum number of residents and businesses in the town of Amenia. And if it is a phased approach, that's that's understandable and potentially even better. So,
on behalf of Sharon, who used to be my direct neighbor, I would like to pipe in that I think it's very clear that we're going to explore, or the Tie and Bond is going to explore, including the business district of Wassaic at the very least. And I'm just going to throw something out there, which I have heard about at the beginning of this process. I don't know where things stand now, but Jeff Barnett-Winsby indicated to Leo and myself that if indeed his group is able to purchase the developmental center, he's very, very interested in bringing the existing sewage treatment plant up to code, up to, and so that is something I think we should also nail down, obviously, but just saying that was something that he was confident could be done.
Yeah, that's
it's something to be explored. It's something to be open to and something to explore.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and it's sentiment-wise, it's awesome. But there's a lot of conditionals for that sort of thing to happen.
I think throughout this whole process, there will be. That's
say again?
I think that's true about the whole process, and that's why we want to get it going, so that we can start addressing them.
Right. But what I'm saying is that the sort of if and Jeff's not here to sort of speak on that sort of thing, but if there was some way to accomplish that, that's sort of outside of the town's ability to control or look for grant money, for example. So, Aaron, the other question that I had was just sort of about the very discrete next steps from a sort of cost perspective. So, we have a proposal from your firm that has been sent to us by the Wastewater Committee, and obviously you're very familiar with the area and you've done excellent work and have high references there. The exact, I believe that was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was $15,000. The exact deliverable of that $15,000 effort is what you just presented. Is that correct? Is the engineering report based on the district delineation, the flow development, the system design and layout, and then the resulting report? Is that correct?
It's not. Initially, when I was approached by the Wastewater Committee, I was trying to come up with a very succinct approach, and it did not involve district delineation. So I'm proposing to pursue a grant for additional funds for a total of $22,000. That would include a district delineation phase. But if you have a copy of the proposal in front of you, you'll see it doesn't have that phase. It's working off of previous work for district delineation. Or parcel location. I think there's one. I know there's a few different things that I tried to be a little more cost effective and succinct. That since then, it's been very clear to me that's a very strong part of the discussion.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong here. So my understanding is that engineering report is really what the town needs to then go apply for, larger federal grants that can help offset the. Is there another more detailed design phase that needs to happen once?
Design and then construction phase. And so you have two opportunities for that. One is the WQIP, it's called, Water Quality Improvement Program, and the WIA, so Water Infrastructure Improvement Act funds. Up until last year, they were tended to be available right around May, June. The WQIP is part of the CFA. WIA is its own thing. They did not happen last year. It's under our understanding that they will happen this year.
Got it. Okay. And then I guess maybe this is a question for both of you, Jim or Aaron. How does this service, or the proposed service here, differ from some of the services available, for example, from EFC? A couple of years back, I attended a seminar put on by Syracuse, the Syracuse EFC chapter, and they described. Granted, I'm no expert here, so they described a sort of heavily subsidized, if not some free, feasibility study that they offered to rural municipalities that were looking to embark on wastewater projects. I don't really know if the body of work that this town has done and spent money on in for prior studies, I don't know if that disqualifies us from that kind of consultation by EFC, but I don't know if you guys have had a chance to research that, if you're familiar with that.
This is, EFC is typically a funding arm. So I am not familiar with any actual study work EFC does. They provide substantial funding to do study work, and this is that funding of which they would speak. So this is from the grant we're talking about pursuing is from Environmental Facilities Corp. They are the funding arm of New York State DEC.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little confused because of the nature of the presentation that Syracuse gave. Maybe it was another team at Syracuse University that offered the actual sort of feasibility study work. But I could be misremembering. It might be worthwhile to check out, see, check in with that team and see what willing to do that.
Do you want to do that?
I can certainly do that. I mean, the committee, if the committee has bandwidth, probably is more steeped in the details than
you sent me that link some time ago, and I tried to get somewhere, and I got nowhere with it. So I'm not sure if they're operational. I don't know if you have people to actually contact. I'm not sure, but I mean, I can try again. But if you have some sort of better way of connecting with them, I would encourage you to do so.
Sure. Yeah. There were some folks' email addresses in that thread, but either way, I think what I'm getting at is, it would be extremely, the timing is right to update this study. A lot has changed since 2012, and certainly a lot has changed since 1995. Most of the prior studies that were done, sort of faced this really challenging situation where population in the town of Amenia was declining. And, the case was being made that a significant investment needed to be made into a wastewater facility in order to reverse that trend of population decline. As June indicated at the outset, I don't know for sure, we don't have detailed population stats yet on what's going on with the population in the town of Amenia, but it certainly feels as though that population trend has reversed, and we are on a path to an increasing population, and would ultimately benefit from a wastewater system in many ways. So I'm just interested in understanding ways that the town could accomplish that and embark upon that with as much free support and grant money as possible.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that that there are funding opportunities, grant opportunities that the state is providing. And we are, Aaron and Ty and Bond are poised to apply for that grant money. The deadline is February 12th. So as a first step, I would urge the town board to discuss hiring Aaron to write this grant proposal. And I would also urge you emphatically to consider funding, going ahead with funding the feasibility study that Ty and Bond has submitted to the town, even before we know whether or not the town is eligible for this grant money. I think that it's an incredibly reasonable amount of money. It's way less than Millerton spent for their initial feasibility study. And from every which angle, it's very clear that we have to get moving on this. And the other thing to keep in mind is that if we do accelerate this process, I think it's pretty clear that there's going to be significant infrastructure funding with the new administration. And if we, had a shovel-ready program, or we're close to having one, I think that would benefit us tremendously. So that's my appeal to you all, to think about this after Aaron and I sign off, talk about it, and commit to it. Because it's just...
Jim, I just feel like I need to just say we're keeping a very close eye on this as well. Shovel-ready projects, that is absolutely the word on the street, and something very similar to ARRA. So that's the type of infrastructure funding we're also anticipating, and we're trying to keep a very strong eye on. So to be poised to be shovel ready means at least being through an evaluation stage. So well said.
So like the first two steps is what you're saying, basically.
Getting at least there. Yeah. I think you want to get there, so you have a document and can say we're ready to go.
And the other thing I want to also point out is that Victoria mentioned maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago that she was in touch with the USDA rural. Correct me, Victoria. The USDA rural development arm of the federal government that grants low interest, extremely low interest loans. So there's a bunch of different funding opportunities, grants which everybody thinks we are eminently qualified to receive. That money, apparently, half of the money would be dispersed in April. Plus, if we get through the first stage, then there's more grant money, both from the state and presumably from the feds. So, any other questions?
I just had to, while we're on the funding topic. So Aaron, you were involved with Hillsdale. Do you have any stories for us about how they successfully funded, not only their sort of the part of the project where we're at now, which is the feasibility study part, but ultimately the whole program? Do you have any insights to share there?
I have stories, but I don't recommend these stories. What Jim said was a correct thing, and it was a very bold move from Art Bear at the time was the supervisor. Hillsdale had been part of a comprehensive plan for wastewater treatment since 1968. It was an extremely failed system. Many of the systems had failure to the surface, right through the ball field. Art Bear at the time went and asked DEC for a consent order, which means they will start to fine the community for not responding to that consent order. He took the Department of Health on a tour to show them obvious solids on the ground behind houses. But he did a very, very bold move. At that time, it ensured funding arrived, and by having a consent order, which is a legal state enforcement order, you move up the list very quickly for funding. So that is what Art did. At that time, there wasn't grant funding available. So he took very bold, very aggressive steps. He would say this himself, so I don't feel troubled in saying so, but he went above and beyond essentially to make sure the troubles their community was experiencing was spotlighted to the point where funding was nearly imminent. They did get additional funding from the Rhinestrom Hills Foundation, but they did have both state and rural development, which frequently is considered federal funding. Dutchess County is interesting with rural development because you actually go through the county for community block grant versus through the federal process. So the source is a little bit different. Hillsdale, as you know, is Columbia County, so it's not called entitlement community, where the county and Dutchess administers those funds versus the federal process. So a little bit different, but Pine Plains, for instance, is working both with DEC and rural development for their funding. So Hillsdale had both of those sources and some private sources. But to qualify way up the grant chain, the supervisor did some bold moves, let's say. So I don't recommend doing that, to be clear. Please don't do that. It was a risk they felt compelled to take, but I don't think I would recommend that.
Got it.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions, or are we ready to move on? Thank you, Jim and Aaron. It's been a very enlightening video presentation from the wastewater committee. I just got a email from Mike Flint, who said he actually did a video of your presentation, and it'll be on YouTube for anybody who wants to see it.
Great.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you very, very much for giving us this opportunity to make this presentation. And, you know, you have our emails. If you have any other further questions or thoughts or concerns, please reach out to us. I just want to underline for the last time that there's never been a better time to get the funding going and to not wait for grant money, to find the money in the budget to get this process going, even though Aaron is going to hopefully be hired to do the grant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for having me. Thank you.
Another thing, and Aaron, maybe you could weigh in on this. Is there an opportunity for funding? Is there a better opportunity for funding if we join with Pine Plains and Millerton as you know?
No.
No. Okay. I don't know.
And
No.
and definitely, and sorry, I'll be really quickly. I know you want to move on, but I don't know that I was fully grasping the distance between the Wassaic hamlet and what I call the classic Amenia hamlet. It's really far. The cost of joining those two would be the cost of, you know, going north to another community or south. That is very expensive. So decentralized approaches where you try to keep the systems as close to the parcels you're going to serve, that absolutely is most cost effective. So sorry for not understanding completely what was being asked at the time, but you're going to look at what's going to serve the needed parcels without the distance beyond there. That's not cost effective to do. And I know we've looked at that before. It's just too far.
Yeah, that makes sense given the distance. I think it's about 3.5 miles, I think, roughly. The 95 study that was done by Morris and Associates did identify a site that was basically, I think, equidistant between the two hamlets with the idea that it would serve those two. So, you cut your sort of infrastructure needs in half by locating that site there. But worth taking a look at the 95 study, Erin, if you have a chance.
Yeah, I remember looking at it obviously a long time ago, but we'll happily revisit it. Certainly, we want to try to use as innovative and updated approach as we can. So
we actually have all of the studies that were in the archives of Dutchess County, and they are available. So I'll share that with you, Erin.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, supervisors report. Lavelle Road Pump House and Generator Upgrade. Town of Amenia engineer John Andrews has provided an evaluation of the Lavelle Road Pump House and equipment and a report given to the town board. The town board will be voting on a resolution authorizing the town engineer to do a cost estimate for the necessary repairs. Altice franchise agreement negotiations are still in progress. Town of Amenia Covet. The Amenia Town Hall will remain closed, but will be available to departments by appointment. Department extensions are posted on the front door. There is also a doorbell to the left of the main door. Each department is available by phone, mail, email, and secure lockbox on the building to the left of the front door. Town board and other meetings will be held by Zoom. Public comments for town board meetings can be made by email or mail sent to the town clerk, who will read them at the meeting. Public hearing meetings will be set up by video and telephonic conferencing, advertised with information about how to attend. Court administration has ordered that all court in-person appearances have to be adjourned until further notice. Please continue to wear face coverings and be mindful of social distancing. Also remember to not touch your face, wash your hands often, and use hand sanitizer. Be well and stay safe. Town clerk report.
Good evening. This evening I'm presenting to the board members the December 17th minutes. Has everybody had the opportunity to review?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 1/7/2021 reorg minutes as presented at 6:06 p.m.
Okay, I was starting off with the December 17th because I didn't get to do a report at reorg. So I have to go back to 2020 first. Can we start with?
Oh, so the December 17th?
Yes, they were the first ones in the packet.
Okay, I will move to approve the December 17th, 2020 minutes as presented.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Abstain.
Morris,
Jim and Michelle, you guys are on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Michelle,
Need to unmute, Michelle.
she's moving her mouth. We're gonna do thumbs up, thumbs down. Oh, I don't. And then for the record, just so everyone else noticed, I did note that Michelle arrived to the meeting at 7:29 tonight. Hopefully this little second.
You need to unmute.
She can't unmute. Okay, so when you're looking at the computer screen next to your name, it looks like a little blue three dots. Oh, I'm taking it. Jenny already left. Okay. Well, she's walking away. I have enough to carry forward with this motion. Oh, she's putting her headset on. Oh, it's not hooked up. Okay. I'm, for ease of
Why
my
don't you finish?
report,
finish.
she's saying yes. I'm going to continue with my report. Also presenting the reorganizational meeting, the latest version, as we discussed throughout email with the update of the committees. And that would be the January 7th meeting.
Motion to approve the January 7th minutes as presented via email
Thank you.
by the town clerk.
Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji.
Yes, can you hear me?
I
Yes,
can hear
now
you
we're good.
loud and clear.
Okay.
Delightful. Thank you. Did you want to vote on the first set of minutes so it's a verbal vote and not a written posted?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to continue with the town clerk's report. Thank you, everyone. Presenting this evening is also the December town clerk monthly report. Our total share was $795.25, with the local share being remitted to the supervisor in the amount of $709.25. The annual report for decals, that's our New York State DEC sales and transactions, as a total sale.
We have a lot of
year.
interference. I can't hear you.
I took care of it. Go ahead, Dawn.
Thank you. The total sale for the 2020 entire year was $8,914, with the town share being remitted to the supervisor in the amount of $488.66, and the remaining balance was turned over to DEC. That is our 2020 DEC report. Just as a friendly reminder, and I did announce it at our reorganizational meeting, the notice of the tax roll and warrant for 2021. Take notice that I myself, Dawn Marie Kligner, the undersigned tax collector for the town of Amenia, Dutchess County, state of New York, having duly received the tax roll and warrant collection of the taxes within the town of Amenia for the year 2021, and that I will attend 4988 Route 22 Amenia from January 4th, 2021 through March 1st, 2021. 9 o'clock in the forenoon and 1 o'clock in the afternoon on each day, excepting Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and holidays, for the purposes of receiving taxes listed on the said roll. I take further notice that the taxes be paid on or before March 1st of 2021. On all taxes received after such date, there shall be an additional 1% for each additional month or fraction thereof thereafter, until such taxes are paid or until the return of the unpaid taxes to the county treasurer pursuant to law. Our penalty schedule here in the town of Amenia, January through March 1st, 0 penalty percent. March 2nd through March 31st, 2%. April 1st through April 30th, 3%. May 1st through May 31st, 4%. June 1 until settlement with the county treasurer, 5%. In addition, after May 15th, a fee of $2 will be added for each parcel. Take further notice that pursuant to the provisions of the law, the tax roll of the town of Amenia will be returned to the county treasurer of the county of Dutchess on the first day of June. And that's the second time I'm reading it into the minutes, so that is our second notice. With the notice having been read at our first meeting and to today as of 3:41 this afternoon, total taxes collected thus far are $997,321.65, remaining to be collected $5,413,790.56. You can also look at it if you just want to have an idea. It's 316 postings with 16% already paid, and it's not even the end of the first month. So very productive going forward for this first month. Presenting to the board are 2 resignations. First resignation is Nancy Nowak. Nancy has mailed me her letter Received it on January 11th. Please accept this letter of notice of my resignation as bank reconciliation clerk effective January 7th, 2021. Nancy and I did discuss this prior. As you'll recall from our reorganizational meeting, she was not in there. So this is just to accept the formal resignation. What I've decided to do is I have Patty Squissy, who is primarily my records management clerk, who is taken on a huge role of performing all of the scanning into Laserfiche. So what I'm looking to do, since she is not accessing any of our transactions on a daily activity in the office, I've asked her to assume that responsibility. So our second resignation that I'm presenting to the board is Joy Johnson. We've received a letter accepting her formal notice resigning from the position as a member of the Amenia Housing Board. So those are the two resignations I have for this month.
Sorry, before we proceed with voting to accept those, Vicky, did you ever receive anything from Lorenzo?
He, for the housing board, or
Correct.
for, he is staying on the housing board, as I recall. I had a long conversation with him, and I convinced him that he could participate via phone. He did not need a computer with a stable enough connection to be on video. So he can join our meetings, and he said he would try that. Same goes for his CAC participation. So I welcome Lorenzo to continue on.
Okay, that's great. We may need to amend the committee and board rosters in that case. I don't believe he was listed as a member on the housing board.
Yes, he was.
Was he in the minutes that we just approved? I recall differently. Hold on.
If we haven't yet accepted his resignation, which I didn't have anything in writing that I could remember, and he was in fact a member of the housing board, he might just be an accidental mistake. I don't know. I think we need to research it, but
Okay, we can look into it. I just was
Can we
wondering.
just move with the motion now so we can go on with the meeting?
Yes.
we'll move that we accept with regret Nancy Nowak's resignation as the bank rec clerk.
Second?
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll move that we accept with regret Joy Johnson's resignation from the.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Damian. Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
She needs to unmute.
yeah, I see she's looking at the computer. Vicky,
You're on mute.
you're on mute.
She's muted.
Gutierrez, okay, there's Vicky.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Vicky. And I heard Morris. Ms.
Yes.
Emoji?
Yes.
Okay, also this evening I'm presenting, or actually I'm notifying to the board and acknowledging the email that was circulated out on January 14th, just before the hour of 2 p.m. The 7 proposals that we received for the Route 44 sidewalk extension to Beekman Park, those, all the hard copies were put into your mailboxes, and electronic copies of each of the proposals were sent as part of this email. Just as a follow-up, I did send out that we received 2 bids at approximately 2:25 that afternoon, which they were received after the bid opening. I have not opened them. I have not circulated them, but I wanted to make everybody aware. Should you want me to take a different action and go ahead and open them and circulate, I need to be noticed in writing, but I do believe that those were supposed to be returned to the sender, having not been opened. So
When was the bid opening?
The bid opening took place at 1 o'clock.
And you received them an hour and 25, you received both of the late ones an
Both
hour?
of them, they came via FedEx. And that was part of the email that went out to the attorney and the supervisor, just so that way they would see that, like when it came in, it was through FedEx. FedEx doesn't make it, I'm lucky if they make it here for 3 o'clock for my taxes. I've tried and tried and tried.
I would support allowing the opening of and consideration of those bids, given that they were delivered by a third-party carrier on the day that, I would support that. It doesn't hurt the town to have more options to consider.
Okay, and then I did include, I did print the transit information, so you could see that they were in FedEx's hand the day prior. They just weren't received.
Okay.
All right, so what I'll do is, based off the time of this evening, I will go ahead and open both of those bids and then send you the information that's within. And then the additional 2 new items will be placed in your mailbox this evening.
Do you want a motion for that, Dawn?
And yes, I would like to have a motion to go ahead and authorize me to open up the 2 additional bid responses.
I'll make that motion to authorize the
Damien?
town clerk to open and consider the 2 bids that were received on the due date, but past the opening time.
That's maybe by FedEx.
I second.
I'm going to say that's Michelle seconding.
But I think you should add to the motion by FedEx so we can say how we did receive them.
Absolutely. And would you guys like me to state out loud? It was Prevident Design Engineering and McLaurin Engineering Group. So
That's
those will
fine.
be put out
We
there.
had a really great response to that. That means we got 9 bids.
Yeah, that is
We
great.
have a lot of reading to do.
It's got to be a record.
Well, we used BidNet. BidNet during the COVID crisis actually sent me an email and offered to the town a free service of being able to bid our contracts on it. Because before we used to have to go through Dutchess County, now we do it ourselves.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
council members Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yeah.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji.
Yes.
Also, within our packets, and that's been circulated by the various departments, acknowledging receipt of the December 31st, 2020 balance sheet and operating statements provided by the bookkeeper. Also, we've received for December's monthly report for the building department. As the building permits go, they've issued 19 new building permits totaling $14,654.25, along with 5 renewals in the amount of $875. They are continuing with CO searches. For the month, they did 7 searches totaling $875, bringing a total to be $16,404.05. And for the total for the year, which includes the $12,785 refund to Silo Ridge and the $1,500 that was transferred from the building to escrow, their total was $118,911.50. And it also does indicate if there is a zoning report, Judy will follow up with us on that. Also in our packets and things that we've been circulated is the December 2020 monthly usage submitted by SEBI Environmental Services for our water. November was 1,611,400 gallons, and for December was 1,336,700. With no customer calls, and he also marks out the water line and markouts, Dig Safe New York, emergency response repairs that he completed, and the other miscellaneous items that he took care of for the month of December. And that would be all of our various committee department reports. And I do share with the board and our public that you heard me earlier mentioned Patty. Patty has been taking on that big project of scanning
She is currently working on what we're calling our parcels, Amenia parcels. So if you were ever to go into the record room, you will see approximately 10 file cabinets. She is scanning each of the planning and zoning projects that we've had here in the town of Amenia. She will then be moving into our planning and our assessor's office, and we're getting all of our parcels scanned to ease the access. Erica's continuing to work on scanning in our monthly vouchers, our vital records, and all of our minutes only for our town board meetings, our planning board, and our ZBA. So I'm really excited about the project. I support this project. It's great that our communities were able to get this shared service grant. And as of December 21st, there were over 98,000 documents that have been stored into our repository. So we are definitely moving forward. It is a project that I have taken on, and I really believe that to make our lives easier when we're trying to search our records here at Town Hall, if one day we are able to get everybody up and mainstreamed, it is going to ease our process. I know, Vicki, you were looking for some vouchers for a particular vendor. So these are things that we just type in that particular vendor's name and we're able to pull them up. So you're looking for 144 bills. We're going to be able to just send you those 144 bills electronically. There's no need for those to come in and pull out the old file cabinet and find those and take out the staple and do it. We've already had the staff working on that. So this project, it may seem tedious, it may seem not necessary, but we're not only, making it easy access, we're also preserving our records. And that is something that we have to continue to work on. And it's been a focus here in the town clerk's office. And I really hope that the other departments that are watching these meetings and hear me every day go on about this. This is important for Amenia's history. And it starts here with us as the present employees. So, I'm psyched that my staff has taken on this project and they're doing it with such respect to our records and professionalism. They are now attending New York State Archive classes to bring their skills up to par and really make sure that we're mainstreaming with what our state government is looking for us. Last meeting, you guys were gracious enough to go ahead and accept our LG1 schedule. So these are all items that we're bringing here to make it easier and make the access easier for not only the staff, but for our residents. So I really thank everybody for their support. When I implement new ideas, the supervisor's been super great with and seeing things are going through with her staff. So it's been a real work effort that we've taken on for 2020. I know many of you want to let 2020 go out, but it's given us time to do some catch up. So I'm pretty happy with the achievements that we've had here in the town clerk's office.
It's important work, Dawn. Thank you to you and your team for doing that.
That's weird. I love it. So the last item that I have on tonight's report is I'm presenting the vouchers on the January abstract, which it lists that it's consisting of 3 pages, but it's really over 14 pages because we have some prepaids from December, prepaids from January, and our regular abstracts. So I'm going to go ahead and just read them off for our as total amounts, but they are within your packets and have been circulated. Our general fund A total abstract is $64,197.66. Highway fund, $54,776.19. Amenia lighting, $1,691.62. Wasake lighting, $617.19. Amenia water, $17,589.54. Trail to the train, $4,800 even. For our total bills, for our prepaids for December, our prepaids for January, our January abstract, and our last final abstract for 2020, a grand total of $143,672.20.
I move that we authorize the payment of the claims as read.
Thank you.
Second.
Damian. Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
Council members Doyle. Vicki.
Yes.
Well, I can hear the train, so that's why I'm like, it's going to be Damien. Gutierrez, Morris,
Yes.
Emoji.
Yes.
Great. And that'll conclude my normal report for this meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Can you tell I live in Wassaic?
I know, I mean, but it was like really predominant. Like I could hear the train.
Okay, resolution for final trail to the train change order.
We're beginning with 5 tonight.
Resolution number
5.
5. Resolution, oops, I guess I better let Eli in. Resolution authorizing change order number 2 to the A. Colarusso and Son Incorporated contract to construct the Wassaic Trail to the Train project. Whereas by resolution number 31 of 219, adopted by the Town Board of the Town of Amenia on May 2nd, 2019, the Town Board awarded the bid to construct a bicycle trail path extending from the hamlet of Wassaic to the Wassaic train station to A. Colarusso and Son Incorporated. Whereas the Town Board previously approved change order number 1 to the aforementioned contract, which modified the plans and specification for the pedestrian boardwalk, but did not increase the total contract price. Whereas WSP USA, the town's engineer for the Wassaic Trail to Train project, has negotiated and approved change order number 2, which is annexed here to, made a part of. Whereas change order number 2 will increase the award contract amount from $1,224,397 to $1,244,834.47, an increase of $20,437.47. Now therefore be it resolved that follows the recitation set forth above or incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board hereby approves change order number 2, which increases the total contract price by $20,437.47, resulting in a new contract price of $1,244,834.47. And I make that motion. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second.
Okay, and there's, LA Castro from WFP is on the line and will, answer any questions you have about this change order.
Discussion?
Well, that's what we're doing. Well, I'm waiting for Ellie to connect.
I have questions about the change order.
I know, and he's going to answer them when he gets on. That's why I asked him to be on the call. Looks like connecting to audio. He isn't quite on yet.
Well, while we're waiting for Ellie, I mean, Ian, I know you were involved in negotiating this. Maybe you can give a summary of what the request was from WSP and sort of where we netted out.
Actually, with this change order, I was not involved with the negotiations. The engineer negotiated all these particular change orders. That's why it was requested that they be here to answer the questions, because I was not part of that negotiation.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to try bringing him back in again. Ellie, are you on? Looks like this. Looks like his video isn't on.
Okay, well, does anyone have? I mean, I've seen some of the emails back and forth, Victoria, between you and the
Well, I've sent them on.
the folks at WSP.
Hi, are you coming on the call? Hello? Oh, are you coming on the call? Because I just admit. Okay. Well, are you speaking? Because I'm not showing, do you have your microphone on? Well, on my phone I can, but not on Zoom. I'm not showing a microphone for you. Is your microphone on, your audio? Because it wasn't connecting to your audio.
You know?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, could you explain the change order to the town board, please?
Okay, we did a final change order where we picked up all the quantities from that had plus or minus.
I can't hear him.
Let me hear. How about now? Hear me?
Yeah, can you increase your volume?
Volume.
We need to be able to hear you.
How about now?
Yes.
That's much.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to go through the change order and explain it to the town board, please?
Okay. What we did, we just went through all the quantities and picked up the ones that had.
Can't hear him again.
Nope.
You need to, are you
Hello?
speaking? Do
Can
you
hear me?
have the audio on?
Yeah.
Okay,
You can hear me?
that's better right there.
Okay.
But whatever you're doing there, stay there.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, we went through all the quantities. They
Not
had,
again.
oh, must be something else. I can hear you well, but
Can we table this until we have a better connection?
I hear you well. I hear
You
you.
want to, do you want to call in, Eli?
The phone you call me?
Do you,
Yeah.
why don't you use the telephone number to call into Zoom on your phone?
Okay, I'll go back to the same. What? You there?
Call in.
I'm just calling you.
You need to call into Zoom.
Oh, okay.
You have the Zoom invitation.
Yes.
There's a New York number there. Call in on that number.
Okay.
You also have the meeting ID and whatever else. I don't know what's going on with your computer, but it's not working.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, if you can keep speaking so that we can all hear you,
Okay.
go ahead and explain the change order.
Okay, basically, what we did, we went through all the quantities that were taken. We took all the information from APIA and
This
put them
is
all
this
together.
is like a cruel joke. We can't hear you. As soon as you start talking, you trail off.
No, there must be something, something else, because I can hear you very well. Ellen and Jim.
So we have a roll going, right, Don? You're mute, Don.
Yep. Do we have roll? I mean, we
Just,
we
wait.
can. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, Damien.
wait a minute so I can get
Are
him.
Are you ready for me to call?
Yeah.
I'm ready for something to happen.
Well, I'm going to take care of that in a minute.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for Eli, I'll just, I guess, summarize sort of the background here based on the information that I have, which was the emails that were shared with me. So I think everybody knows we had a competitive procurement for the Trail to the Train engineering process. WSP was awarded that contract. This was a million years ago, before my time. But
Hello?
hello, you there?
Yeah.
Right, I just, you need to get off your computer.
Get off?
Yes.
I'll keep going while we're waiting for Eli. So WSP was the engineering firm that designed the trail. And the designs is what we put out to bid for the contractors who bid on actually building it. That was a separate charge.
Telephone number.
Part of the requirement, and Ian or Victoria can correct me here if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that this was a DOT requirement, was that the engineering firm be retained to continue to monitor the progress of the construction work. And so Eli, who's trying his best
I sent you the telephone
to
number.
join us at the moment. Eli was actually the supervising engineer on site working for WSP throughout the whole term of the project while Colarusso was there building. I would go to the site and visit frequently. Our town project manager, John Comso, was also there on a regular basis, and Eli was the WSP representative. Now, what we are trying to get from Eli is an understanding of why WSP's estimates that they provided to the town in their original bid were not sufficient for his time and services overseeing the construction project while WSP was there. I don't know who was involved in the sort of negotiations, but in early November, I was copied on an email from the supervisor, including their original change order request, which was roughly $170,000. The supervisor indicated that this change order was not in compliance, and WSP had some reporting requirements that they had yet to meet. And that's the last of the info that I have. So my assumption is that this now $20,000 change order, is that what it is, Victoria?
Yes, this change order is, Colarusso actually had an office that they worked out of in the in the plaza, not the Freshtown Plaza, but the Satori Plaza. And that's what the change order amount is. Eli's going to be calling in, so he can explain that. I mean, if you read through the details, that's exactly what it's saying. That's what the additional 20,000 is.
They, in their letter or their cover letter, they say that trees were misrepresented. The specifications, so some of the specifications that were originally provided to for the bid weren't correct. Is that right? Am I reading that right? So trees with diameters of 4 inches to 6 inches and 6 inches to 12 inches, but it doesn't say, were there a lot more trees or trees with different diameters? And then I try and read down to the line items of the increases and the decreases. And it's very hard to follow the ups and the downs. I mean, it is helpful, gives you the quantity, amount, and whether it was less than what they had.
That's one thing we assisted on is more itemization from them, so we knew, what we were paying them for.
Right.
If I may, there's some discussion on what WSP's contract was, and there were some negotiations that I was a part of with regards to their contract. This change orders with regards to A. Colarusso's contract, and there are some overruns and underruns.
Right.
So there were some things they came under on, so that amount would have been subtracted on those things that they came over on. Part of included in that was the field office rent. So that's what's compiled into this particular final change order with A. Colarusso. The details of all of these aspects, that was between our engineer, who that was part of their job responsibilities to do so and prepare the change order. So hopefully he can get on and explain the details of that, but conceptually, that's what this is.
I understand. Okay, so that makes a little more sense to me, Ian. Thank you for clarifying that. So,
yep. Sorry about the confusion on that, Damien. I thought you were asking me specific on this. I wasn't part of this
final change order. I mean, the first change order, there was, no dollar change. This is the final change order that that we need to send in to DOT and to Dutchess County Planning to get the rest of our grant money.
While we're waiting, are we still waiting for Eli? Okay, so while we're waiting for Eli, I will just note from my colleagues here that the requested amount of the change order represents 1.6% of the total original budget that was awarded to Colarusso. So we can continue to wait for Eli, or we can make a judgment call based on that.
Yeah, I mean, Colarusso, did everything, they could to keep us under budget, and did a really great job with the trail. This is the final amount. That's the difference between the things they stayed under and the things they went over.
Inclusive in that was additional cost due to just time getting the project done. Additional costs with regards to the field office rent that they were required to have.
And Eli is with us. Can you hear us, Eli? Eli, can you hear us? Ellie, are you on? I can see you, that you joined us. Ellie, are you on now?
Yes, I hear you.
Good.
You hear me now?
Do you want to just explain the change order?
Can you, Michelle, can you mute, please?
You hear me?
Yes, can you explain the change order?
Okay, the change
Well,
order is,
basically, we looked at it and we saw the things that were under and the things that were over.
yes, and the explanations that we put after them, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that basically, it's, we gotta follow the state way of presenting it. And we fill up a form, the Sacanar form, and then we explain all the items, but we've been keeping track of all the items as we went through the project.
That you have
In
to
Appia,
turn into
in
DOT.
an Appia,
is that correct?
in a system that controls all the numbers, that quantities, and it's get at the end of the project, we summarize, the program summarizes all the quantities, and we go over them and we analyze which ones were over and the reasoning for, and the ones that were below and the reasoning that were below, and then we put it all together and present a final change order. And items that need to be negotiated, we negotiated the items with the contractor. So, and that's pretty much how we went through standard kind of procedures. The state looked at it, and they seem to be in accordance to their procedures. So it's just a matter of the town approving it, so we can go forward with it, and pay the contractor. So that's in essence.
Does anybody have any other questions? But you said DOT reviewed it, is that correct?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, I had to correct a couple of things twice from the state, because he sent it back and says, you got to do this, and whatever. So the last one that I sent, they said everything is in order. So it's just a matter of going through the proper procedures to finish it. I put it in the system and then present a final payment for them. Again, using the Appia program. So everything is being checked to the cent, if you want to say it that way,
Okay, does anyone have any additional questions to ask Eli while he's here?
So you write in the cover letter that there were some trees that weren't itemized correctly or specified.
Yes.
Is
Yes,
that a big part of this bill? I'm trying to find the bigger numbers that contribute. It's such a series.
What happened basically is that they put the series, the item number, they misplaced one of the digits in the number.
Ah.
And so for the program, it has to be exact. For the state, it got to be the item has to have the series number correctly. Mm-hmm. So, but the description of the item was the one that the work was done under it. So everything was done to it, but at some point we have to correct the little digit number difference, mm-hmm. and we have to put it the right way. So we did it once the item went over 200, which requires to establish a new item. We just put the new item with its correct serial number, and but everything was done according to the way it should have been done with the serial. It was a typo from the I guess when they did the contract. Just one of the digits was misplaced. Instead of 1, they put a 2. Instead of 2, they put a 3. That kind of a thing.
And contaminated non-hazardous waste soil. I mean, it sounds like you did encounter some hazardous waste.
Nothing was moved out of the site, so everything was kept on site. So whether it was or wasn't, we didn't touch anything there. Anything wasn't moved, so everything was kept as part of the embankment, or some of the material was piled up to the side to beef up the shoulders.
Okay,
But we didn't take anything out.
sorry, it was non-hazardous waste soil, so
Yeah.
contaminated but non-hazardous.
Yeah, anything that we do it as a way of being safe, in the sense of not moving anything away or putting it somewhere else and contaminate something, and then find out later. So everything stayed there. We brought material from outside just to finish up the job, but nothing was moved.
Vicky, I don't know if you're looking at the same PDF packet I am, but page 49 of the packet that we got from Nancy. It has items with significant increases, overruns bullet list, which I think is helpful to understand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
well, this sounds like it's within, the project of this size. 20,000 overage is not unusual in any way. There are positives and negatives, and I just assumed when you bid it, that's what you get. You get an office, and that when you run out of that money, I'm sorry, you don't get more money, but I guess this is why you have the extra money built into these projects for these kind of overruns that are unforeseen.
Yeah, well, the office was 3 months, ended up being 7 months.
Yeah, that's true, right? That is.
Well, to be fair, part of that was because we had delays on the WSP side that caused us to miss the bat, tree clearing window, if you guys recall. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll say this, Vicky, that, we do a lot of capital construction projects in my day job. If we're within 5% of a project of this size, we usually feel pretty good about it at the end of the day. As I indicated, this is a 1.6% variation from the bid amount that Colorusso put forth. So I'm comfortable with that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, are we comfortable enough to finish the roll?
Yeah.
To finish voting?
Okay. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle? Vicky?
Yeah, yes, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Samoji?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get signed.
Well, thank you for joining us, LA.
No problem.
On and
Sorry for the technical issues.
well, it happens.
Okay. Take care. Have a good evening. Okay. Bye.
Okay, resolution number 6. Resolution authorizing town engineer to prepare a cost estimate for the replacement of the Lavelle Road pump house. Whereas the Lavelle Road pump house is currently located at terminal end of Lavelle Road in the town of Amenia, tax parcel number 716713215330, known by Amenia Water District number 1. Whereas on December 8, 2020, a field observation visit was conducted by John Andrews, Jr., PE, the town engineer, at the request of Supervisor Perotti in response to concerns raised by the operator of the Amenia water system, Marco D'Antonio of SCBI, Environmental Services Engineering Consulting, with respect to the integrity of the pump house structure, the condition of the equipment, generator, electrical system, and controls located therein. Whereas the town engineers prepared an evaluation and recommendations based upon the December 8, 2020 field observation visit, a copy of which is annexed here to and made a part hereof. Whereas it is the opinion of the town engineer that the pump house and associated equipment are nearing the end of their useful life and have reached a point where replacement should be considered, planned, and implemented. Whereas the town board has reviewed the evaluation of the town engineer and believes it is in the best interests of the town and Amenia Water District Number 1 to obtain a cost estimate from the town engineer to replace Lavelle Road Pump House and associated equipment in accordance with the current standards and guidelines. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. Recitations above are set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the town engineer to prepare a cost estimate in accordance with the annexed report for the replacement of the Lavelle Road Pump House, including the structure, generator, electrical system, and controls. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the town engineer to prepare the estimate at a cost not to exceed $3,500. And I make that motion.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Samoji.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, resolution number 7. Before I read the resolution, I just want to make sure if that's something, this is something that the board wants to do. To apply for the New York State DECFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant.
I'm very supportive of applying for the engineering grant. I think, Victoria, you indicated this either via email or in a prior conversation, but we don't often see funds available for engineering studies as far as grants go.
It's not very often it happens, but Governor Cuomo announced, a big infrastructure amount and this was part of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely supportive of us applying. My only question was the resolution authorizes Aaron to spend no more than $1,000. Do we have a sentence from her of what?
That amount, what came from her?
The $1,000?
Not to exceed.
Okay. I just, we pay our grant writer, I forget what we pay him, $26 an hour or something like that. And obviously he could work with Aaron. It just would be nice to know what her hourly rate was or whatever. It'd just be nice to know the difference.
The idea of asking her to do it is because her company does this all the time. They know the specifics that would need to go into a grant like that. She's, we do have a grant writer, but this is her specialty. She would know how to word it and, what needs to go in to get it, for a feasibility study.
I agree. It's cheaper to hire somebody who knows what they're doing rather than have somebody try and be an engineer. He's not an engineer, and so this is clearly a very technical request saying why it is that you need this grant and why it warrants it.
And they apply for these types of grants all the time. It's it's part of what their company does.
Boilerplate.
Would we be paying probably a little more an hour than we would? I think Mike is at like maybe $29 an hour, but we would have somebody who has the expertise and has the knowledge to be able to put the appropriate language in the grant.
Yeah, she already knows it's worth it. She can do it for 1,000. So, most people can't say put this in for 1,000. Who knows what they would cost?
And then, and she has the time to do it too, because, there is somewhat of a time constraint.
It's really a no-brainer. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, resolution number 7. I didn't want to read the resolution. I just want to make sure the board was on board before, I had it ready in case we were. Resolution number 7, resolution authorizing application for the New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant Program. Whereas in 2012, the town of Amenia conducted a wastewater feasibility evaluation to determine the feasibility of providing wastewater service to businesses and residents within the Hamlet area of Amenia. Whereas the town of Amenia Wastewater Committee is revisiting the feasibility of providing wastewater service to businesses and residents in the Hamlet area of Amenia, and hereby requests an update to the 2012 wastewater feasibility evaluation. Whereas the New York State DEC EFC provides an engineering planning grant for funding for this type of engineering study. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia would like to retain the services of Ty & Bond Engineering and Landscape Architecture, PC, to assist the town with application to the New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant at a cost not to exceed $1,000. Whereas the New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant requires the applicant to certify and agree that Ty & Bond are authorized on behalf of the town to do the following: to commit the applicant town to comply with the requirements of Article 15A of the New York State Executive Law, participation by minority group members and women with respect to state contracts by providing opportunities for minority-owned businesses, enterprises, WBE, women-owned business enterprise, WBE, participation, and will maintain such records and take such actions necessary to demonstrate such compliance throughout the completion of the project. 2, certify that all information contained in this application and in all statements, data, and supporting documents which have been made or finished for the purpose of receiving assistance for the project described in this application are true, correct, and complete to the best of their knowledge and belief. 3, that the New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant program funding is provided for the project described in the application. The applicant shall comply with all rules, regulations, provisions, and guidance with respect hereto, as such may be amended from time to time, including but not limited to the Clean Water Act, 33 U.S.C. 1251 at Secure, Chapter 565 of the laws of 1989, 6 NYCRR Part 649, and 21 NYCRR Part 2602. Whereas pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617.5 C24, information collection, including basic data collection and research, water quality and pollution studies, traffic counts, engineering studies, surveys, subsurface investigation, and soil studies that do not commit the agency to undertake, fund, or approve any type 1 or unlisted action is not subject to review under seeker. Whereas the preparation of the updated wastewater feasibility study does not commit the town to undertake, fund, or approve any action listed in 6 NYCRR Part 617 as a type 1 or unlisted action. Whereas the anticipated budget for the study is $22,000, of which $17,600 would be provided by New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant, with a 20% match in the amount of $4,400 to be provided by the town in the form of in-kind services. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town of Amenia Town Board hereby finds that the preparation of an application for the New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant to conduct and update the 2012 wastewater feasibility evaluation is a type 2 action and not subject to review under seeker, 6 NYCRR Part 617. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the town supervisor to make all necessary certifications as set forth above and to execute the grant application as well as any other contracts, documents, and instruments necessary to bring about the grant to fulfill the town's obligations under the New York State DEC EFC Wastewater Infrastructure Engineering Planning Grant. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes Ty and Bond to assist the town with its application for the New York State DEC EFC wastewater infrastructure engineering planning grant. Prepare the updated wastewater feasibility study for a cost not to exceed $1,000 and pursuant to the proposal annexed here too. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Prodi,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle, Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji,
Yes.
The next resolution number 8, right, is something we have to do every year. Resolution number 8 of 2021, resolution for standard workday and reporting for New York State and local employees retirement system. A meeting of the town board of the town of Amenia held at the Amenia Town Hall, 21st day of January 2021 at 7 p.m. Town Supervisor Victoria Prodi called the meeting to order. And I make the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Included the following resolution to it, whereas it is required by the New York State Employees Retirement System that all active employees and elected and appointed officials participating in the retirement system have a locally established standard workday for the purposes of reporting retirement credit, whereas the town of Amenia has active full-time and part-time employees and elected and appointed officials who participate in the New York State Employees Retirement System. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the following as standard workdays for active full-time and part-time employees and elected and appointed officials, and will report the following days work to the New York State and locals employees retirement system. Title: Highway Machine Equipment Operator, 8 hours, Working Foreman, 8 hours, Deputy Town Clerk, 6 hours, Custodian, 6 hours, Clerk, Court Clerk, 6 hours, Secretary and Supervisor, Planning Board, 6 hours, Typist, Senior Typist, 6 hours, Bookkeeper, 6 hours, Building Inspector, 6 hours, Constable, 6 hours, all other elected and or appointed officials, 6 hours. Foregoing resolution was voted upon with all council persons voting as follows. And I make that motion.
Supervisor Prodi,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle, Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji,
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 9, transfer of funds. Transfer of funds for December number 3, 2020. It's resolution number 9 of 2021. Whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary and anticipated to amend the budget. Whereas budget amendment, the general fund increasing expense line 16204.01.077, building CE telephone by $344.91, and increasing expense line 16604.01.074, central storm CE supplies by $54.84, and decreasing expense line 16204.01.059, building CE heat by $399.75 for additional costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund increasing expense line 14204.01, attorney CE by $14,260.38, and decreasing expense line 13554.01.044, assessors CE certificaries by $14,262.37 for unanticipated legal expenses. Whereas budget amendment, the general fund increasing expense line 11104.01.131, justices CE town prosecutor by $617.50, decreasing expense line 11104.01.078, justices CE training by $617.50 for expense. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund increasing expense line 16204.01.062, building CE maintenance by $921.52 and decreasing expense line 16204.01.056 building CE Fountain Square lights by $921.52 for additional costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund increasing expense line 67724.01.148 programs for aging senior trip events by $785.75 and decreasing expense line 67724.01.087 programs for aging CE senior trips by $785.75 for unanticipated costs. Whereas budget amendment, the general fund increasing expense line 90508.01 unemployment insurance by $292.08 and decreasing expense line 90308.01 Social Security town share by $292.08 for additional expense. Whereas budget amendment in the highway fund increasing expense line 51304.03 machinery CE by $1,792.89 and decreasing expense line 51304.03.036 machinery CE diesel by $1,792.89 for truck suspension repairs. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board authorizes the transfer of necessary budget lines to process the transactions. I make that motion.
I'll second it, and I'll make the motion. Yes.
Okay, Supervisor Perotti?
Yeah.
I have a question though.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Michelle, you have to mute. Okay.
Go ahead.
We get $14,000 extra in attorney fees in the month of December.
Okay.
I could see if it was a certorial case, we'd have a bunch of those, but you reduced the assessor's certorial cases. It's the attorney line for $14,100 by $14,204. It seems like a lot.
I think you saw the bills and what the fees, what the fees covered.
Okay. All right, I just find that like a lot. But maybe it's just been sneaking up on us and you just used it that, finally you resolved this. It wasn't all extra money spent out in December, I guess.
Well, it's whatever came in the bill and whatever things were taken care of. We just have a lot going on right now.
Is that all Ian's line or is it the planning board?
Attorney CE is Ian's line.
Ian, do you know what you did that month that was extraordinary, or is this just adding up?
I don't have my bills right in front of me right now. If you want, I can discuss it or write a memo to the board on explaining what the fees were, what projects we were working on. I don't have a problem doing that at all.
Where I can go back in. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to just get a sense of where we went way out of whack.
I can do that. I can provide that.
That's great. Thanks.
Yep.
Did you finish the roll, Dawn?
Good. Okay, so Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Smoji.
Yes.
Okay, one of the things we're required to do is the approval of annual hours that are carried over by different employees. You have a list of the employees that have accumulated time to carry over from last year to this year. They've submitted carryover letters to the secretary, the supervisor, so she has them all to put in their file. So all we just need to do is make a motion to approve the carryover.
Make that motion.
Second.
Per the handbook, you're supposed to read it aloud, so we put it in there.
All right, that's fine. So we've got 2020.
You want me to read over each person?
I don't have what you're reading, so.
You said that according to the handbook, we need to read it aloud?
Correct. And if you want to provide me with a copy of what you have, that would be great. That way I can ensure it's accurate for the minutes.
Okay.
I can read it. I have it right here in front of me. You want me to do that?
Well, go ahead.
All right. So 2020 end of year totals. Marge Arnold, 98.5 sick hours and 22 vacation hours. Vacation carryover letter. Lynette Culligan, 54.5 sick hours. Katrina Gore, 6 vacation hours. Vacation carryover letter. Erica Howard, 9 sick hours. These are hours, not days, right? Obviously. Nobody has 22 vacation days. Okay. Nancy Nowak, 10 sick hours. Michael Segelkin, 201.2 sick hours. And 0.5 vacation hours, vacation carryover letter on file. Judy Westfall, 265 sick hours, 22 vacation hours, vacation carryover letter on file.
Okay. Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Smoji.
Yes.
Hey, we have one other resolution and other matters. Ian, do you want to explain it?
Sure. So on December 28th, 2020, Governor Cuomo signed the Covet Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act. And buried in subpart D of that act, there was a section that related to certain tax, real property tax exemptions, particularly concerning people ages 65 or older, and for certain persons with disabilities. And the whole idea behind this is it does 3 things. It first states that if you qualify for either of these exemptions in 2020, because these are vulnerable classes of people to COVID, that they don't, there's no reason or they basically remove the requirement that they have to refile to receive the exemption in 2021. So if you received it in 2020, you will receive it in 2021 without the need of having to file the renewal. That's number 1. Number 2, if you received the exemption in 2020, but for some change of circumstance, you believe that the exemption should be increased, the assessor has to provide the ability for those individuals to obtain a renewal application so they can then file the application. And then 3, which is really the purpose for the resolution, is it provides that if an individual received either of these tax exemptions in 2020 and the assessor believes that there was a change in circumstance which would either reduce or eliminate them from receiving the benefit, then the assessor, the law provides that the town needs to create either by local ordinance or by resolution a procedure by which the assessor should notify these individuals so they can refile their applications. So that's the whole purpose behind this.
So we were required to do this resolution in order to follow this law.
Correct.
I believe we're at resolution number 10. Resolution authorizing renewal procedures for certain real property tax exemptions pursuant to the COVID-19 Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act. Whereas on December 28, 2020, Governor Cuomo signed into legislation the COVID-19 Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act. Whereas pursuant to subpart D of the law, every governing body of an assessing unit and local assessor shall extend to the 2021 assessment roll the renewal of exemptions received on the 2020 assessment roll pursuant to section 467 and 459C of the real property tax law, which provide certain exemptions for a person age 65 and over and for certain persons with disabilities and limited income, so that no renewal application shall be required of any eligible recipient who has received either exemption on the 2020 assessment roll in order to continue receiving such exemption at the same amount received on the 2020 assessment roll. Whereas subpart D of the law further provides that the local assessor shall make available renewal applications through postal mail or electronic means in order for eligible recipients to file renewal applications in the event that his or her income has changed in a manner that would grant him or her a greater exemption than what was present on the 2020 assessment roll. Whereas subpart D of the law also provides that such governing body may adopt a local law or resolution which includes procedures by which the assessor may require a renewal application to be filed when he or she has reason to believe that an owner who qualified for the exemption on the 2020 assessment roll may have since changed his or her primary residence. For the procedure for filing a renewal application will be as follows. A, on or before January 22nd, 2020, the assessor shall notify the owner in writing by regular first-class mail the reason a renewal application is required, shall provide a renewal application and return envelope for filing the application. B, property owners shall complete and return the renewal application with all required documentation to the assessor by mail and the envelope provided. C, the renewal application must be filed by the property owner by March 1st, 2021, together with any other documentation as may be necessary for the assessor to determine the continued eligibility of the property owner. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately and shall expire May 1st, 2021, shall be deemed to have been in full force from and on and after March 7th, 2020. Can I make that motion?
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji.
Town board comments?
I think she was trying to say yes, just so, I mean, we need to hear it. I'm sorry, Vicki.
That's right.
Michelle, it
Now
might
go
help
ahead and say yes. Unmute and, or however you're voting.
if you have.
There it goes. Yes, can you hear?
Yeah.
Hear
if your TV is
Okay,
on.
Dr. Yes. Okay, Vicki.
Okay, so I sent my report to you all through email. Quickly go over it. There's a CAC meeting via Zoom on Wednesday, February 20th, 2021, 7 p.m. For more information, contact Michael Peak, the chair, mpeak@amenia.ny.gov. Housing Board, I sent you the postcard that they have drafted. It's going to be in Spanish as well for the housing survey of Amenia residents. I'm going to need to get the addresses of all the people in Amenia. And I'll talk to Dawn Marie on Monday, perhaps, about ideas for doing that. working with Michael Sedlican to respond to questions to the legality of the composting operation at the former Allen Sand and Gravel on Old Route 22. I turned in the Fountain Square project checkbook, which I got from Charlotte Murphy, upon realizing or recalling that we have about $1,600 in an account that they turned over from the Fountain Square Project Committee to the town. It's not showing on our balance sheets. It needs to be included there. We're getting a $2 fee every month for.
Not on our balance sheet because it's not in Millbrook Bank.
Needs to.
Once it gets switched over, it'll be on there.
Okay, so you're in the process of switching it over?
Yeah, I have to go to the bank and take the money out. Right now, we're checking with RBT to see how we need to set it up
Okay.
correctly on the balance sheet.
Okay. And we need to make sure that it stays separate because it was a very specific.
That's why we're having the municipal accountant tell us how to do it.
Okay. I'm looking for some clarification just on how town board members should obtain access to some advice from our attorneys when it's needed or requested from town committees or from our neighbors. And it seems like in order to do my job, there's sometimes questions that I need answered. So I always went through the supervisor, but I don't know what the best method is. I can continue sending you questions, Supervisor Perotti, and then you can ask them if you deem them appropriate, or maybe get off.
Whatever questions you have should be shared with the full board.
So the question I have is the legality of the composting operation that is currently underway at Old Route 22. I will look at the files because Michael Sedlican gave me very confusing, very strange responses on why it has been allowed to continue. And so I'm going to look through the files and see if I can't find what Ian or others have shared with him, because he said he certainly didn't make his own decision on his own. Somebody has.
Ian, do you want to address that and tell him what we're currently doing? Approaching this problem?
Yeah, so I am putting together a memo of my conversations with Michael in the last couple of days since this email started circulating, as well as items that we're requesting and how we're going about handling that. And I can circulate that to the town board. That'll probably be out in your mail sometime tomorrow.
Okay, that would be helpful.
Yep.
Yeah, sharing that information is really helpful because I can't feel like I can do my job or answer questions without some kind of assurance that what I'm saying is actually fact. And if I don't get shared, then I don't know the answers. So foiling seems to be one way of doing it, but it seems rather complicated.
Could you also share, Ian, what information has been asked of the people running the operation, and also ask what of the people running the operation, in addition to the specific permits from DEC that they have? I believe that information has been requested from them.
I think it's best if I address that in a memo to the board as privileged and confidential because it's containing potential legal matters.
Okay.
I'm working with Damien and Dawn Marie to update the community guidelines. Working with Damien to investigate possible savings on our electric bills if we are deemed willing to participate in a NYSERDA community solar program. If people want more information about that, I could have them give the same presentation they gave to Damien and I, just to try and figure out whether our municipality would benefit from that or not. I would appreciate having more, a short report from our recreation supervisor, as we've had once. And I think it would be nice to have that on an ongoing basis so that at least I know what's going on for recreation, if there's anything at all. That's all I have. Thank you.
I believe they're going to be having a meeting on the 28th.
That's helpful.
I just found out, he just called me today and asked if they could have a meeting on the 28th.
Is that virtual?
No, they were going to meet in the back of the auditorium, practicing social distancing.
Thank you.
If I may, I will just voice support, Vicky, for your position. I mean, other than Jim, the rest of us are not lawyers, and there are frequent occasions where I need to be sure that I have a clear understanding of what the current law indicates, what our obligations are, all that stuff. So typically, when I've had a question for Ian, I write an email directly to Ian, and I copy the rest of my colleagues here on the town board, including Victoria. And I would hope that if I'm asking a boneheaded question of Ian, that one of my colleagues would jump in and be like, oh, we've already talked about that. We don't need Ian to bill time to that particular matter because of this. But at least we could have that, exchange as a group. On the record. The other update I have is I reached out to our friends at Altice earlier this week. In the last coronavirus relief package that was passed by Congress in late December of last year, there was $3.2 billion for broadband support and funding. A good chunk of that is intended to go ultimately to folks as a $50 per month discount on your bill. The name of it is the Emergency Broadband Benefit. And this benefit is eligible to households who are financially challenged, meaning they're either on some sort of existing SNAP or free school lunch program, or specific to COVID, if you have lost your job or are furloughed, have been furloughed due to COVID, you are also eligible for this benefit as well. Altice did confirm that they will be participating in this program. The details have not yet been established by the FCC yet, but they did confirm that they would be participating, and once they give us information on how folks in town can enroll for that $50 a month credit, we will be sure to share that. The primary qualification that's not related to losing your job because of COVID or getting furloughed is that you currently participate in the FCC's Lifeline program. So I'd encourage folks to research that, and we can post this information as well.
Do you have more information that we could put on the website about that, or Channel 22?
Yeah, I have the article that I sent to the Altice rep. The only problem is that it's
here until they actually have it up and running.
Yeah, I think that would be best because some of the details may change. But I just in general, this COVID relief program side, if you guys Google FCC Lifeline program, you'll see the eligibility requirements there. They are income based. Or if you have a college student with a Pell Grant, for example, you're also eligible. So there's existing programs that you can check out today that aren't dependent on this new program. But when this new program does roll out, we will share those details.
Okay, are there any other town board comments? If not, I think we're ready for the Jim Morse motion.
I'll make it a formal motion tonight. There being no further business before this board, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
9:28. Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
We're voting on adjournment.
Doyle.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yay. Gutierrez,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Emoji.
Yes.
All right.
Yay,
Everyone have
thank
a
you,
good evening.
everybody.